think we should allow.
Okay, so let's see. I am admitting the participants into the room. It will take them a second to join. Okay, good afternoon. Welcome everyone. We'll get started in just a moment. Okay, we still have some people arriving, so thank you so much for your patience. All right, so it looks like everyone has joined. So let's go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for being here with us today. The Office of International Student and Scholar Services would like to welcome you to our optional practical training, or the OPT informational workshop. So let's go ahead and introduce you to our staff. First, we have Matthew Lara with us today. He is our Associate Director. And on the screen, you could see his email address as well, and also the emails of other staff. So let's keep moving down the list. Today we'll be joined by Padma Reddy. She's our International Student Advisor, and she will be giving the presentation later on today. Next, Kylie Arieta is also here. She's our Program Coordinator. Who is not here with us today, though, is Diane Gobrick. She's our Immigration Specialist. She can also help answer any questions related to OPT. And lastly, my name is Supapit Bibi Kanti. I'm also an International Student Advisor. Okay. So today the objective is to review the eligibility requirements and the spring 2021 timeline of applying for OPT. We'll also go over the post-OPT approval requirement. We'll talk a little bit about the GeoBlue insurance and also the latest updates from USCIS. For today, you'll have a chance to ask questions in the chat, and you also learn how to contact ISSS. Lastly, we'll go over how to complete Form I-765. And before we get started, I would like to remind everyone that for today, your microphone will remain muted. You could type questions in the chat anytime, and we'll answer them shortly. So if you haven't seen the chat, let me send you a quick message. There you go. And this session is being recorded and will be available on our website later this week. So if you have arrived late or you have friends who you would like to share this webinar with, you'll be able to get to the recording of the website. Okay. So next, let's hand over the presentation to Padma.
Hello, good afternoon, everybody. I hope you're all doing well, especially during COVID. And I'm sure you must be graduating and very excited to start a new phase of your life. Let's start off with what is OPT. OPT is an optional practical training opportunity, and it is not mandatory that you apply for it. Students who are planning on graduating this spring semester can apply for OPT. OPT offers temporary employment for practical training directly related to the student's major area of study and educational level. OPT provides F1 status and an opportunity to gain employment experience for 1 year. And it can be transitioned to a work visa like H-1B. OPT application is processed by USCIS upon approval, issues an employment authorization card, which is also known as EAD. Next. Who is eligible to apply for OPT? Any student who has been in F1 status and who has been enrolled at NMSU or any service approved university for 1 full academic year and is completing a degree program are eligible to apply. The student must also be in a good academic standing and have been maintaining their F1 status. Students can apply based on their graduation or completing their course of study. After completion of all courses requirement for the degree, excluding thesis or equivalent, if the student is in a master's or a doctoral degree program. The student will need to finish thesis, dissertation at least 90 days prior to OPT completion to be eligible for STEM OPT. These are the basic requirements who are eligible to apply for OPT. Can we move on to the next slide, please? Since we talked about students who are eligible, let's also talk about students who are not eligible to apply for OPT. Students who have engaged in CPT, which is curricular practical training, 20 hours or more per week for more than 12 months are not eligible. Students who previously applied for OPT at the same educational level, example, say you completed your bachelor's and applied for OPT, and after your OPT is done, you wanted to pursue a different bachelor's program. And after the bachelor's program, you cannot apply for OPT at the same level, which is again at bachelor's. So you will not be eligible. If the student previously had an OPT at a higher education level, then the student is not eligible for OPT at a lower education level. Example, if the student had OPT at master's level, the student is not eligible to apply for OPT at a bachelor's level. However, the student will be eligible to apply for OPT at PhD level. Students in English language training programs are not eligible for practical training for OPT, like SELP students. I know we don't have the SELP, but I just wanted you to know this. Next. When can you apply for OPT? If you're planning on graduating in spring, you can apply 90 days prior to your graduation or within 60 days of your program end date. And this is applicable if you are graduating in spring, summer, or fall, whatever semester it is. These are the timelines that you are eligible to apply for OPT. If you're graduating in spring, you can apply for OPT as early as 18th of February 2021 and no later than 17th of July 2021. When I say 17th of July 2021, please try not to submit your application on 17th or the 16th because USCIS has to receive your OPT application, and that is the hard deadline. Okay, and if you're graduating in summer 2021, you can apply for OPT from 13th of May 2021 to no later than 7th of October 2021. Please note that we will also have another OPT session for students who are graduating in summer. But students who are graduating in summer, they have to make sure that they register for at least one class, which is classroom based. For spring, it is okay for you to be registering for an online class, but you have to be in the US. Next. Now, yesterday we had sent out an email which came out from our ISSS office, which had all the information that I am going to read to you now. This includes the OPT packet in requirements, First, we have to have a form which is to be completed by you as the student and by the academic advisor. We want to make sure that the student is ready to graduate and is in the process of applying for graduation. Only then only then a student is eligible to apply for OPT. Unless we receive this OPT form, which is the ISSS form, which stays with us and it is not mailed to the USCIS, we will not be able to proceed to process your OPT application. Please refer, here is the link. If you have missed out, then we will for sure email you the link and all the requirements. Please reach out to us. Next. Your OPT packet, which will be mailed to the USCIS, will have from point 2 through next. OPT application first is you have to complete a form I-765, which is an employment authorization. Based on the completion of the form and the review, USCIS will issue you an employment authorization card. And that ID card will reflect your name and the start date of your employment and also the end date. Please remember that the OPT is for 12 months only. Next, you'll also have to complete G1145 form, which is not mandatory, but it is highly recommended by ISSS office because this form is very simple. It'll ask you for your name and your email address and your phone number. Once USCIS receives your OPT packet, they will send you an automated message, both to your email and to your cell phone. Your OPT packet will also need to include your form I-94, which shows your latest arrival on visa, on F1 visa, and the date and the passport number that you used. We will also need your passport identification page and your F1 entry visa copies. If you have renewed your passport recently and your F1 visa is in your old passport, please email us a copy of your passport. Next. USCIS will also require 2 passport-sized pictures of yours with a white background. Please write your full name and your I-94 number on the back of the photo with a pencil only. Please do not use a pen, as this will be rejected by USCIS. So please be careful and use a pencil only. USCIS also will require a money order or a check, $410 towards the processing of your application. Please use U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Please do not abbreviate it. In the past, I would have always recommended that you send a money order because the process would be quicker. With a check, they would put your application to a side unless the amount was transferred to USCIS, they would not look at your application. But with current COVID and with the fall disaster, we want students to know when your OPT application has been received and when USCIS is actually processing your application. This time, I will recommend that you use a check. This is because you will know when USCIS is withdrawing the amount of money, $410 towards processing of your application, which means that they are ready to process your application. This is how you can make sure that your application is under review by USCIS. After reviewing from point 1 through point 5, ISS will issue an I-20 with OPT recommendation. Before I issue an I-20, I will also have a Zoom call with you, so I may answer all the questions you have. So please do not worry or panic about your OPT application. I know that this is a very important step towards your towards your immigration, and we will walk you through every step of the way. Can we move on to the next page, please? Because of COVID, there have been many changes. In the past, you would have to mail your OPT packet to a Texas service logbox facility. But due to COVID, that service center is now closed. And because of there have been many applications that have been received by the logbox facility. Right now, currently, as of January 8th, 2021, there is only one logbox facility which is open to processing your OPT application, which is Chicago. Once I issue you an I-20 recommending the OPT, I will verify the address that needs to be mailed, because USCIS has not been very diligent about updating us or the students with the change in mailing address. Hence, I would recommend that whenever you decided to mail your OPT application, please talk to us, or there is a link I will talk to you in the next slide, which will show what is the mailing address that you can use. Next. Once ISSS approves and processes your OPT application and issues an I-20, you have to mail your OPT packet, and it has to be received by USCIS within 30 days. Please check you will receive a receipt number. Over the fall 2020 semester, students who had applied for OPT, there was a delay due to COVID. There was a delay in receiving the receipt notices. Please do not panic if you haven't received the receipt notice, because they are taking over the backlog, and now it is going much smoother. Right now, the processing times are anywhere between 3 months to 4 months. So it is in a good timeline. You can check your case status online in this link, egov.uscis.gov. You will receive a receipt number, and enter the receipt number, and you will know exactly where your application stands. Notify ISS when your OPT application has been approved. We will issue you an updated I-20 with OPT approval. Please send us a scan of your EAD card and the approval notice for our records. Sometimes what happens is your OPT packet, OPT is approved by USCIS, but the I-20 is monitored by SCBP. So they don't talk very well with each other. Although your OPT I-20, when we initially issued, will say requested, right now, after your OPT is approved, it should say approved status. Sometimes it does not say that. We have to request for a correction of your immigration record to request that it is approved. That's why we require you to scan as a copy of your EAD and approval notice, so we can help you with your record and issue an I-20 reflecting that your OPT is approved. You will also need to work experience or position must be related to your field of study. When you have your OPT, please make sure that the work that you are going to do is at your is related to your field of study and appropriate to your degree level. Next. Some of the important things for you to remember are you cannot work until you receive your employment authorization document, which is your EAD card. You can only work within the dates reflected on your EAD card. Example, if your EAD card reflects a start date of January 1st, 2021 and end date of December 31st, 2021, you can only work within those dates. You cannot either work before or after the end dates. Please discuss with an international student advisor any travel plans you may have after your OPT has been approved. Please remember, not to travel out of the country, USA, when your OPT application is pending. One of the requirements is that you submit your latest I-94. If you travel out of the US anytime, it is not only about your OPT, it could be your H-1B, green card, citizenship, or anything. If you travel outside the US when an application is pending with USCIS, and if you exit out of the US, they will understand it that you are no longer interested in your OPT. Hence, your OPT application may be denied for that. Next, post-approval of your OPT. Once your OPT is approved, you will receive an email from SCVP to create your portal account after your OPT is approved. When you start a new employment or change your address, please update the information in the portal account within 10 days and email ISSS to get an updated I-20 reflecting your employment details. If you change employers, you must update SCVP portal account within 10 days of the new employment. Always have an updated I-20 reflecting your current employer details. If you ever forgot your password or your portal account is locked because you typed in a wrong password and you need help to reset your portal account, please email ISS office. We will be glad to help you. Please remember, if you do not update your SCVP portal account with your employment details, then it will count towards your unemployment period. And after 90 days of unemployment, your I-20 may be terminated. And you will have to go back to your home country. Next. Let's talk a little bit about unemployment during OPT. During standard post-completion OPT, a student may be unemployed for an aggregate of no more than 90 days. When we say 90 days, it means that the 90 days can be at a stretch or with a break of 10 days here, there, and all. But overall, it should not exceed 90 days of unemployment. Each day, including weekends during the period when including weekends or holidays during the period when OPT authorization begins and ends, that the student does not have a qualifying employment counts as a day of unemployment. OPT authorization begins on the employment start date shown on the student's EAD card. Next. When you have reached your OPT completion period, you may not work after your OPT has ended. You can legally stay in the US for 60 days. The 60 days are called the grace period to make arrangements to leave the country. You can either make arrangements to leave the country or you can transfer to another school to start a new program of study or start a new program of study at NMSU too. What you cannot do in the grace period is if you exited out of the US, you cannot re-enter the US in the grace period. If you are applying for STEM OPT, if you are in the STEM field and have filed your application in a timely manner, you can continue working for up to 180 days beyond the expiration of your OPT EAD while your application is pending. Please make sure of that. You can apply for STEM OPT 90 days prior to your OPT application is going to expire. Next. And we will talk a little bit about your health insurance while on OPT. Students who are on OPT, it is not mandatory for them to have insurance from NMSU sponsored GeoBlue insurance. It is totally voluntary. Students who are applying for OPT are encouraged to purchase health insurance if your employer is not providing health coverage or if you do not have a job offer. OPT students can continue their school-sponsored coverage with GeoBlue on a voluntary basis. OPT coverage has very strict guidelines and enrollment and must be within 30 days of school coverage termination date. Your current termination date is July 31st, 2021. So please be aware of that. If you would like to apply, you can request an insurance application form from either ISS. In fact, ISS office also sent you via email an application via email, and please complete that application and mail it to GeoBlue. If you have purchased health insurance without a break from Relation Insurance Services, which is also the GeoBlue, while you were on your 12-month OPT, you can request an additional 24 months coverage once you have applied for STEM OPT. Okay, next. I wanted to talk to you about the recent USCIS updates, which was updated on February 26, 2021. Before the previous administration was leaving, there was a complete halt in OPT applications, and there was no receipt notices either coming. The receipt notices usually comes anytime it takes about 2 to 3 weeks after a student has applied for OPT. But the receipt notices were not being received as late as 2 months or 3 months. Students started panicking, and some students who had although applied for in a timely manner within the time of, but did not receive the full 12-month. If students who had already applied for fall or going to apply for spring and they do not get their complete 12 months of OPT, you can request for a correction of your EAD card, and there is no extra charge for it. But the downside is that while your EAD card is under correction by USCIS, you cannot work during those dates. Next. In the past, USCIS, if it was missing or a signature or things like that, missing a signature, it would deny your application, and there was no second chance for students. Right now, although I do not recommend this, they are giving an RFE, which is request for evidence, and they are at least giving you an opportunity to make those corrections. I think it is good that it is going in a positive direction, but please do not worry, as ISS does review your application multiple times and also reviews with you to make sure your OPT application is complete and is not deficient of anything. Next. This is the time that you can send your questions via chat. If you have any questions, feel free to let us know.
Okay, thank you, Padma, for the introduction to OPT. So now if you have any questions, feel free to send them in the chat and we'll go over them. I have received a couple of questions so far, so and I'll try my best to organize them by topic.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
Please be cognizant that this is an OPT webinar, so please ask questions related to OPT and not others.
Right, exactly. And I also wanted to remind you that if you had registered for this session before 3 p.m. yesterday, you must have received an email from me with the materials like the PowerPoint slides and info guide and some forms, including the links as well. So if you haven't received that, don't worry. I will go ahead and review who has attended this session, who has signed up after 3 p.m. yesterday, and I will send the packet to you again, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The first question is about health insurance, and there's two parts to this question, Padma.
Okay.
You mentioned that we have Geo Blue insurance. Can we have our own? What if I wasn't present in the USA and my Geo Blue insurance was canceled and I'm looking for an OPT this May 2021?
If you did not have an OPT, insurance, valid insurance for spring, then unfortunately you are not eligible to apply for GeoBlue insurance because your insurance was canceled as of, I believe, January 31st, 2021. So you're not eligible, unfortunately. If you are applying for OPT, even then you are not eligible because there was a break in your OPT in your insurance application.
Thank you, Padma. The next question is, can I apply for OPT when my visa is expired?
Yes, you can legally stay in the US and you can apply for OPT even if your visa has expired. What is more important is that you should have maintained your F1 status. You maintain your F1 status by registering into the number of credits that is required, which is 12 credits for undergraduate and 9 credits for grad students. And your I-20 is valid and so is your passport. These are the basic requirements.
Thank you. The next question is, are the forms have to be filled by handwriting or online?
I will highly recommend that you complete it. You download the PDF on your computer and type in the answers. Because with handwriting, some handwritings are not very legible and they may misread your information, and we don't want to do that. You cannot complete your signature, accepting that everything else needs to be completed on the PDF by typing.
Perfect, thank you. The next question is, will I have to mail the documents to you and then you will mail them, or am I required to mail the documents?
First, we will review your OPT documents for accurateness. And then the second step is that I will have a one-on-one Zoom call with you. And I will answer all your questions and then issue you an I-20. After I issue you an I-20, I will also indicate what is the mailing address. Like I said prior, that the mailing address has changed because of COVID, and right now it is Chicago Lockbox facility. I will review your lockbox, what facility you need to mail, and then based on that, you as a student has to mail the OPT packet to USCIS. I will also give you the address where the OPT packets should be mailed. Whatever mail services you use, please make sure that it offers tracking system. Thank you.
Perfect. Just to be clear, this is the same similar question from another student. Which location should we mail the application to, Chicago or Texas?
Currently, the Texas Lockbox facility is not under operation, so you have to mail it to the Chicago one. There was this sudden change on January 8th, which changed from Texas to Chicago, and we were not notified. Previously, we would have been notified, but we were not notified. That is why every time I process an OPT application, I check what is the mailing address, and based on that, I will let you know. Currently, it is Chicago mailbox, effective as of January 8th.
Sounds good. The next question is, what are the requirements an employer must have to hire me?
What are the requirements? You need to have your OPT to be approved, and you need to have your EAD card. And the job that you get as a student has to be related to your field of study. say your accounting, your major is in accounting, then your job has to be something related to accounting. And when you have the SCVP portal account created, it will ask you how your job is related to your field of study, and you have to answer. You have to justify how it is related to your field of study. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a lot of questions coming in, and I just wanted to remind everybody that if we don't get to answer your question today, don't worry. But here's another really good question that came in. How do we set up an appointment for ISSS to review our forms after we fill them?
Please feel free to email me, padma.r@nmsu.edu, and I will review your OPT application and let you know what is deficient, what is missing, and what needs to be changed. And once I have made all the changes, I will also give you the link to set up a one-on-one Zoom meeting link, so we can talk about any further questions, follow-up questions you may have. And after that, I will issue you an OPT I-20 requesting, and you can mail the OPT application. On the day I issue the I-20, I will also give you the place mailbox information where you need to mail your OPT application to. I will walk you through all of that process. No worries. And what are the next steps also you need to do will also be done by me.
Okay, so the questions that are coming in, I will keep them, anonymous, so I won't say the name of the people who send them in. But this is, if you remember, Padma, the first question about health insurance, the student asking like what options does he have, and he hasn't been inside the US, and GeoBlue was canceled. So what the student is asking, what can I do regarding the OPT and health insurance? Is it completely lost? What options do I have? I'm graduating this May and I need my OPT.
So if the student is still outside the country, I will recommend that the student enter the country and only then apply for OPT, because you need to submit a copy of your I-94 when processing of your OPT application. That is the number one criteria. Number two is that I know GeoBlue is not offering insurance, but there are other companies that offer insurance, and I will be glad to help them. One of them is Seven Corners, and they can get insurance based on their OPT application.
Okay, thank you. The next question, is it wise to apply for OPT without a job offer? Can we still cancel it in the process if we decide to go further in the studies?
It is wise to apply for OPT, yes, because you are graduating from a program of study. And you can apply 90 days prior to your graduation and within 60 days after your graduation. So you have the timeline. Now, if you're actively looking for a job, this is the best time, as there are many employers looking for new joinees like you, experienced. And this is a great time. Fall 2020 was not because of still COVID, but because now the job market is opening up and they're hiring a lot of people, is what I think. There is a good chance. And if you get a job offer and then you tell them, hey, can you wait for 3 months because I need to apply for my OPT? I don't know if prospective employers are that patient with applicants. That is my only concern. If you are not interested in your OPT and you want to continue on to a different program of study, is perfectly fine, but you will lose your $410 towards your application fee. That will not be refunded to you. So that is the downside. So you have to think hard. And because you are still in the timeline of May graduation, you can still apply for jobs and tell them that you will be available to join them probably in June or so, and you will have sufficient sufficient number of, what can I say, at least you will know where you stand with your job applications, if you're going to get a job or not. Once you start off with the applications, the prospects of it, you will understand it after you apply for 10, 15, or 20 jobs. If you're not getting any responses or some responses, you will know at least the job market is hot or not. It depends on field to field. And talk to an work counselor who can help, co-op office, who can help you with your resume and see how the job market is doing.
Another question related to the employment. Who determines if my potential employment aligns with my program of study?
It will be you based on what is your justification. And if USCIS thinks that they're not happy with your justification, they may review your employment and how it is related to your field of study. But this has been a very recent development. So I have not heard of USCIS doing that, but there is always a first time.
Could you give a percentage of accepted OPT applications?
Like I did talk to you a little bit about students who are not eligible to apply for OPT. And sometimes students do insist that they want to apply for OPT, even say example, if the student applied for OPT at the same education level and wants to reapply after completing again another level and applied for OPT, we have to oblige the student, although we tell them that the OPT application will be denied. Sometimes the students insist. If a student insists and if they are willing to lose their $410, even after our counseling, we issued the I-20, and there have been cases where it was denied. And students who have already had 12 months of CPT, and if they insist, they want to take a chance because it is so related to their field of study, and the CPT was required sometimes for their graduation. They do want to apply for OPT. They want to take a chance, even if they lose the $410 towards their application fee, they still want to take. It has been denied, but other than that, there have not been a denial that I'm aware of. I have not been processing OPT for about a year or year and a half because Michael, my previous supervisor, was the one who was processing, and then Diane Gobrick was doing it. So I'm not aware of it, but as far as I know, no, there have not been any application denials. We tell students that this application is going to be denied because of this so-and-so reason. And if a student insists, we do issue the I-20, and usually we are right about the denial. But we didn't get any surprise denials.
Thank you, Padma.
Sure.
So the next question is, what's the difference between OPT and STEM OPT? Does applying for STEM OPT minimize my chance of finding a job?
OPT is for all students, whatever it could be, whether you are in an arts field or in a science field or any other major. All students are eligible who have been in F1 status for 1 academic year and have completed their program of study. That includes associates, bachelor's, master's, and PhD. So all students are eligible for getting an OPT employment for 12 months. STEM OPT is for students who have completed their program of study in the STEM field, which is the science field. They are eligible to apply for STEM OPT 90 days prior to their OPT expires. Students who are in the arts field or other fields are not, unfortunately, eligible to apply for the STEM field. SCVP has a list of programs that are eligible for the STEM field. It is based on the zip code, which is the curricular code that is reflected on your I-20 and based on your program of study. Based on that, it has recently updated the STEM students who are eligible for STEM OPT. If you don't know if your field falls under the STEM field or not, because there are some fields which are on the borderline of both, which come under the arts and sciences and also come under the STEM field, please reach out to our office and we'll be able to help you with that.
Thank you. And this is a question about STEM, and then we'll move, of course, focus on OPT, but where can we get a list of STEM courses?
STEM courses in NMSU. That is, if you look, if you are in the field of engineering or in the field of sciences, which is biology or one of those programs, then you are in the STEM field. But there is no list of STEM fields in our catalog in that category. So unfortunately, I cannot help you.
Okay. So next, let's focus on the travel-related questions.
Okay.
If I want to apply for OPT this spring and I traveled outside the US, when should I get back to the US?
Anytime your OPT application is pending with USCIS, I will not recommend that you travel out of the US. Highly recommend not to travel, because in your OPT packet, one of the information will be to submit a copy of your I-94, and in the 765 form too, you'll have to denote your I-94 number and when was the last you traveled into the US. If there is a, like I said, when your application is under process, under review by USCIS, and if you exit the US, it may be considered as that you are not interested in your OPT applications and your OPT may be canceled. So please do not do that. But say your OPT is approved and you have a job and you want to travel to your home country for a short period of time for personal reasons, family reasons, or professional reasons, or whatever it is, then these are the following things that I will recommend that you do, only if you have a job. Make sure that you have a current I-20 from your ISSS office with a travel endorsement, which is less than 6 months old, on the second page of your I-20. That is one of the requirements. Second is that make sure that your I-20 reflects your current place of employment and the start date and the name of the employer. 2. 3 is make sure that you get a letter from your employer stating that they are aware that you as the student is traveling outside the US for whatever the reason could be, personal, professional, or whatever, and your expected travel back into the US. The verbiage also should include that your job, you will continue to have your job after you come back, and they are looking forward to you coming back. And this is what the letter should indicate. And you should have a valid passport and a valid visa. These are the requirements that you need to have to travel outside the US after your OPT is approved. Please remember, EAD card is an employment authorization and it cannot be replaced for your visa. So if you are traveling outside the country and you want to come back to US, then you have to have a valid visa. EAD is not, is only for an employment authorization. It is not for immigration purposes.
Okay, so if my I-20 expires in August, before applying for OPT, do I need to get an updated I-20?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, so my I-20 is expiring this August. Before applying for OPT, do I need to get an updated I-20?
You are eligible to apply for OPT 90 days before your graduation. Are you graduating in summer 2021? That is the big question that you need to answer. And the timeline, if yes, if you are going to apply for OPT because you're graduating in summer 2021, then your I-20 will be shortened to reflect the summer graduation date. I don't remember the exact graduation date of summer 2021 on top of my head, but that is how it will be. After you graduate, your program will be shortened on the first page, but on the second page, we will reflect that you have requested for an OPT and there will be a start date and an end date. So if you are going to be on OPT, from now onwards, you will have to check the second page of your I-20 because your first page of your I-20 will show that your I-20 is expired. But that is not true. You have to now look at the second page because you have graduated and you are now on OPT. You have to check for its validity on the second page going forward.
Thank you. Do I need to wait to finish my final graduation project exam before applying for OPT? Because in the document, they require my advisor's signature.
If you are an undergraduate student, then you can apply for OPT 90 days prior to your graduation and within 60 days after your graduation. I will recommend that you apply for OPT as early as possible. We do require your academic advisor's signature because some students have not even applied to graduate when we apply for OPT, when they are trying to apply for OPT. And as ISS is not part of the academics, we are not sure if the student is ready to graduate or not. Hence, we depend on your academic advisor, whatever he says or she says, that the student is ready to graduate. And that's why we, based on your academic advisor's signature, we process your OPT application. With graduate students, it's a little different. Now, graduate students and PhD, master's and PhD students, they also have the thesis and dissertation. They first have to have finished their coursework and then they do the thesis and dissertation. For some, the thesis and dissertation takes a long time. So students who are completing their thesis or dissertation and in their final semester can apply for OPT after they're graduating, if the semester that they're graduating, or alternatively, students who have a thesis or dissertation which is going to be completed shortly, like in summer or fall 2021, can apply as long as they have finished their coursework. I know it sounds a little too complicated, but yes, that is how it is. And that's why we have this one-on-one meeting with the students so I can help and guide the students.
Yes, there was a similar question about the timeline and how, the PhD dissertation and thesis defense would work with that. So if you sent in that question and you gave me like specific dates, I think it's best to send us an email at iisss@nmsu.edu and we'll be able to discuss the situation more in details.
Sure.
All right. So I have two more questions about the forms.
Sure.
The first question is, can we use the digital signature?
Yes, you can. Are you talking about the OPT request form which stays with the ISS or the 765? If it is the 765, you cannot, as a student, will not be eligible to sign digitally. You have to have a wet signature, which is you have to use a pen. ISS officials can digitally sign, but you cannot sign as a student. If you're talking about the OPT request form, can your advisor sign digitally? Yes, your advisor can sign because it is going to be with ISS office for record purposes.
Thank you, Padma. The next question, can you explain the difference between a check and a money order? Are they the same?
No, money order is like a cashier's check where you go to a bank or a postal office and it is like a demand draft. In some countries, it is called demand draft, wherein you give $410 and some additional fee to issue the demand draft, or and they give you this. So it's like a traveler's check in an advance. They give you this, which looks so much like a check, but it is guaranteeing USCIS that the $410 is available to you. A personal check, of course, you know, it is based on your bank account and you can write a check. Am I missing something here? Anything that I should include?
So I think normally you would get your checkbook from your bank, right?
Yes.
But for the money order, you have to go to, like,
You
it
can
could
go
be
to
a
the
post
bank.
office.
You can go to the bank, post office,
Gas station.
gas station too. Yes. Yes.
All right. So I have more questions related to the employment. So is OPT required to be full-time?
Good question. When you are on OPT, 20 hours or more is considered full-time. If you are less than 20 hours, then it is called part-time. So it's almost like working as a grad assistant. Yes, you have to work full-time when you are on OPT, which is 20 hours or more. And you can work for multiple employers.
So what happens when someone doesn't get a job within the window period? Can you get a volunteer position?
That is a very tricky question to answer. Yes, you can get a voluntary position. Say you're a PhD or a master's student and you got a job in a lab to work in a lab, then it is voluntary. But if your lab actually had to hire another person like you, qualified person like you, would they have paid them the money? Yes, they would have. And that is where the labor law comes into the picture. Are you, as an OPT student, are you eligible to get a voluntary job? Yes, you are. But it is wrong on the employer side because the labor law kicks in. It has to offer equal opportunity to all. And so if another person who is working at the same position with the same qualification as you and is getting paid, that means that this person is violating the labor laws.
Can we apply for an internship position under OPT?
OPT is for employment. Internship is when you are pursuing your academics. Internship is performed before you complete your program of study. So hence you're not eligible. CPT is different. CPT is curricular practical training. So it has to be before you finish your program of study. OPT is after you have finished your program of study.
So I can apply for OPT even if I don't have a job offer? If yes, how long can I stay unemployed in the US?
You can apply for OPT even if you do not have a job. Under OPT, you can apply for OPT approval even without a job. But for STEM OPT, you need to have a job. With OPT, you can have 90 days of unemployment. You cannot have more than 90 days of unemployment, and the 90 days can be at a stretch or an aggregate.
Thank you. Can I choose a OPT start date?
Yes, you can choose the OPT start date, but it has to be within, if you are graduating in spring, it has to be within your 60 days of your graduation date.
Perfect. So the next couple of questions came from students with spouses. If I have my spouse with me on an F2 visa, will there be any additional requirements or procedures to follow when I apply for OPT?
There will not be any additional procedure for F2s because if the student is on OPT, so will be the dependents. They will continue to be dependents of the student, and it will all depend on the student if they are maintaining their F1 status by getting a job or not within 90 days. So the F2 status is dependent very much on the F1 status.
Another question from a student with a spouse. I am currently going through adjustment of status through marriage to an American citizen. It is uncertain when my application will be approved. Is it worth for me to go through OPT? Is it going to affect my I-765 application for the EAD card that I already did for my adjustment of status?
First of all, congratulations on your marriage. That is a huge deal. When you are applying for an adjustment of status, you must have gone through your immigration attorney. I think your immigration attorney is the best person to help you with this question. As I am not a legal expert, I think you should contact your immigration attorney and they will be able to help you with this question. But as an F1 student, as you have been if you have been maintaining your F1 status and you are graduating in spring 2021, you are eligible based on your F1 status to apply for OPT.
Thank you. The next question is about an application that's already been submitted. So the student said, I have applied for OPT and I have already received the case number through email and text. However, I just realized that I have put my name on the back of the photos with a pen. What should I do now?
The good news is that at least they will not deny your application like in the past that they used to do. They will send you a request for more information, which is called RFE. And in that letter, they will ask you to mail your new passport pictures. And please write with your name and your I-94 number with a pencil only. You'll have to wait for USCIS for a communication first. You cannot take any retroactive action as of today.
Thank you. What is the difference between pre-OPT and general OPT? And is pre-OPT approved faster than a general OPT?
Pre-completion OPT and post-completion OPT, the timeline for processing is done by the same people, same advisors in the lockbox facility as OPT and pre-OPT. Pre-OPT is not popular at all or very little popularity because if you are applying for pre-completion OPT, you have to submit an application, the 765 and everything, and you can get it for a year of OPT, a pre-completion OPT. Say you are going to graduate in 6 months time and you want to get this job now, you can apply for pre-completion OPT and pay $410. Post your completion of your graduation, you can apply for OPT. Because you use 6 months of pre-completion OPT, it will be deducted from your post-completion OPT of 12 months. So you will get an OPT of 6 months only. And you have to pay another $410 towards your post-completion application. So in a way, you're paying $820 for 1 year of application. So it is not very popular. And when school is in session, you can only work for 20 hours. And only during the summer break or the winter break, you can work for more than 20 hours, which is a raw deal for most students, because students usually have a graduate assistantship or things like that, which they can work on it 20 hours anyways. So it is not worth for them.
Okay. Another question, I am graduating in summer 2021. If I'm applying for OPT now, when will the OPT date start?
For summer, if you're graduating in summer, you're not eligible to apply now. It is too early. Your application will be denied. So I will recommend that you wait 90 days prior to your graduation date. Like I said, I don't remember the graduation date for summer on top of my head. So whatever is the graduation date, you have to wait 90 days at least.
Another question from a student who's graduating. Can we do the review and Zoom with ISSS before the first date to send in the application packet? Specifically, it's May 13th is the first day that I can apply. Can we have all the materials ready to go before then?
Please send all the documents for review before May 13th, and we can issue you an I-20 on May 13th. If everything is in okay condition, yeah.
All right, the next question. I am graduating this spring, and I was wondering when is the best time to apply for OPT?
This spring?
Yes.
If you are graduating in this spring 2021, you are currently eligible to apply for OPT, and as late as 17th of July. But like I said, 17th of July is a hard deadline, wherein you not only have to apply, your OPT application has to be received before that date by USCIS.
Thank you. The next question, how long do I have to wait to obtain the visa to work after applying for OPT?
The OPT processing times is about 3 to 4 months now, and it keeps changing. In the informational sheet that was emailed to you, there is a link where you can check what are the processing times. It varies from time to time based on the number of applications received, based on the number of advisors who are working on the applications and the timeline. And because of COVID, there has been delays, but now they are catching up. Right now, currently the OPT applications are approved in about 3 months, roughly about 3 months or so. What was the second part? Question I forgot.
Sorry, I was already moving on to the next question. So if we don't get to answer all parts of your questions, of course, feel free to email us. And I apologize, there are a lot of questions coming in, and there are a lot of questions that are super specific. So it's best to have a one-on-one advising session for those. The next question I have, though, is about an I-20. So can I extend an I-20 and graduate in the summer instead of spring?
Yes. Why not? We always have students who are not able to complete the program of study within the dates issued by ISS office. If your advisor can give an explanation why you need an extra semester, yes, you can graduate in summer. But if you had a reduced course load, then please talk to an ISS officer before we can extend your I-20.
Thank you. So if we would like to graduate in the summer, do we need a face-to-face summer course? And if yes, would the dissertation also count as a face-to-face course?
So because of COVID, normally before pre-COVID, all students who are graduating and applying for OPT had to register for at least one classroom-based course. Because of COVID, SCVP has allowed students to register for online classes. And this temporary thing was only for spring 2021. They have not extended for summer or for fall 2021. Hence, I recommend that you register for a classroom-based course for summer for students who are planning to graduate in the summer. If thesis and dissertation credits are considered classroom-based courses, and you are absolutely fine if you're registering for a thesis or dissertation credits.
Thank you, Padma. I have a couple of more questions, and if you have any last-minute questions, feel free to send them in. And then we'll move on to the last part of the presentation in a few minutes. Okay, the next question is, when will the days start counting towards the 12 months period of OPT?
Now, in the OPT request form that we emailed you, it'll ask you when do you want your OPT to start? You can give any date after your graduation, but it has to be within 60 days. Because you're graduating in spring, I think it is May 18th or so, and you can give a date anytime after May 18th, but it has to be within 60 days. So the 60 days, so if you put, say, example, July 1st as your start date, and if USCIS processes your OPT applications and approves it based on your recommendation that you wanted a July 1st start date, then that is going to be your start date.
All right, so I'll end the last question where we started with insurance. So I have a question regarding insurance. As an F1 OPT student, am I allowed to purchase insurance from somewhere else rather than GeoBlue, even though I have insurance from GeoBlue for spring 2021?
If you have insurance from GeoBlue, it is not mandatory because you are graduating and it is no longer mandatory that you have insurance from NMSU. It is, if you want to purchase, this is totally voluntary. We are giving an option. That is it. If you decide not to have any insurance, even if your employer does not provide insurance and you decide not to have, it is your choice. The only thing is that ISSS is recommending, due to COVID and all these conditions going on, that you have a valid insurance at all times. You never know what emergency you're going to get. I know you're very young, but still I will recommend that you have an insurance.
Okay, so last minute's questions came in. So two more and then we'll move on. And thank you, Padma, for answering these questions so well. So second to last question. If I have only the thesis dissertation pending, do I need to register for 3 credits or just 1 credit in the summer in order to graduate?
There are no credit limitations as per, so it has to be at least 1 class. And the class can be 1 credit, 3 credits, 10 credits is your choice. Yes, you can register for only 1 credit. It's short answer.
All right, the last questions, which also came in from different students. Just to be clear, do I have to have a job before applying for OPT?
Yes, you don't need to have a job before applying for OPT. But after your OPT is approved, you can not have more than 90 days of unemployment. So my recommendation is that apply for jobs right now and also apply for OPT right now.
Perfect, thank you. So that concludes the questions portion of the presentation. Thank you again, Padma, for answering those questions. So next, we'll move on to how to fill Form I-765. And let me share my screen, and I'll hand this presentation over to Padma.
Thank you, Bibi. Thank you, Bibi, for patiently asking all the questions of the students.
You're very welcome. Can you see my screen for the form?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay.
So in the past, the 765 form was updated last year 4 times. So please check the latest form. Currently, it has an expiration date of July 31st, 2022. Please use that form. That is the latest form as of today. And if you have never applied for OPT, fill part 1, question number 1A, initial permission to accept employment. If you please scroll down, please. Now, and you please do not complete 1B or 1C because that is not applicable to you. In part 2, question 1A, B, and C is related to your name. Please write your full legal name, your last name, first name, and middle name, if any. You can leave it blank if you do not have a middle name, but please do not write not applicable or NA for short. Some students who have a maiden name or a marital name or an aliases, they have to finish additional information, other names used. They have to finish the last name, given name, and middle name, if any, the prior names that they may have used. Although this form seems long, 7 pages long, it's a very simple and a straightforward form. This form is also used by not only by international students who are applying for OPT, this is also used by asylum seekers who want to apply for employment authorization. And it is also used for students, for people who are applying for immigration benefits like green card. So please do not be feel very overwhelmed by this application because it asks a lot of questions which are not related to you or which seems too silly for you. Can we move on to the next page, number 2, please? Now, page 2 of the application has your mailing address. 5A, if students who are staying in dorms and they don't know where they're going to move, they may be living in the US, maybe staying with their friends, family, or relatives, but within US, they don't know where they're going to stay. They can give in here in 5A in care of name. So people that they know will be responsible to collect their EAD, only give their name, okay, and their address. So on from 5A to 5E, please give their name, street number, apartment number, if any, and city, their state, and the zip code where you can receive your EAD card. Question number 6 is, is your current mailing address the same as your physical address? If yes, then you do not need to complete question 7A through D. If it is no, then you have to complete your current physical address. I know you may not be living here after your graduation, but still, what is the date of your current physical location, the day you are applying for OPT is what matters. Okay, can we move on to question number 8, alien registration number. Alien registration number is not for you. This is for asylum seekers and green card holders. So, and USCIS online account too. So it may not be applicable to you. You may not have this. You please leave it blank. Question number talks about your gender. Please select the gender. Question number 11 talks about your marital status. So please complete whatever is applicable to you. And question 12 talks about your have you previously filed Form 765? If you have completed at a previous level of education, then please indicate yes. Or if you have never filled up the 765 form and this is your first time, then please indicate no. If you have a social security number, please complete social security question number 13A and indicate yes. And in the question number 13B, please put your SSN number. If you do not have an SSN number, please indicate no under question 13A. Can we go up, please? If you do not have a social security number and you want USCIS to forward this application to SSN office, then please indicate yes to question number 14. After your OPT application gets approved, your application will be forwarded to SSN office to help you with the SSN number. So question 15 talks about your consent. You have to consent to forward your application to SSN office. If you already have an SSN, please indicate no in question number 14, and you do not need to complete question 15 through 17B. But if you want to apply for SSN through OPT, then please complete question 15 and 16, which is your father's name. Question 17 asks for your mother's name. Please complete that if you want an SSN number. If you already have an SSN number, please leave it blank. Now, let's move on to question number 18. There are some students who have dual citizenship. If you are a dual citizen, like dual citizen of 2 different countries, then please indicate in question 18 and B. Most students are citizens of only one country. If you are a citizen of only one country, then answer in question 18A and leave question 18B blank. Next. Question 19 talks about the city, town, or village of your birth. Please do not indicate all 3 because it will be only one or the other. It'll either be the city, the town, or the village. Okay. Question 19B will indicate what state or the province of your birth. 19C will ask for your country of your birth. Question number 20 will ask you for your date of birth. Please remember, in the US, they use the month, date, and the year format. Please denote that in the same form. Question number 21A talks about your I-94 number. This is the I-94 number. If you are arriving by car, like most students from Mexico who drive, they get an I-94 card, which is stapled to their passport. And that is the number that they need to reflect. Students who arrive on flight, they can go to the I-94 website and they can get the I-94 here. Please remember, this is just a sample. I'm only giving you as the sample. This is how your I-94 looks like. In here, this is the I-94 number. The first one, admission I-94 record number, 514155658885. Again, I'm telling you, this is just a sample. This is not your I-94 number. Each student will have their unique I-94 number. And most recent date, according to this, is July 25th, 2017. And the class of admission should always be F1, and the admit until date should be D/S, which stands for duration of status, which is as long as you're maintaining your F1 status, your F1 is valid. That is what DS stands for. Okay, can we go back to 765? Please indicate the I-94 number based on your I-94 record. 21B talks about your passport number. If you have an expired passport and your visa is there, please do not indicate your expired passport. Let me give you an example. This is the passport. This is also a sample passport. And if you look at here, highlighted F7802033, that is your passport number, okay? And your validity is because India starts off with date followed by month and followed by year. So you'll have to indicate month 05/01/2016 according to this sample. That is how you're going to read. Can we go back to form 765? So your passport number should come here, travel document number. Most students will not have a travel document number. Some countries, because of war or whatever reasons, they do not have their own embassy and they are unable to issue a passport. They get a travel card. Please, this is not applicable to most students, so you can leave it blank. Please do not indicate NA or not applicable. 21D, country that issued your passport. If you're a citizen from Mexico, then you are a citizen of Mexico, so include Mexico there. If you're a citizen of China, then country that issued your passport will be China, okay? If you're a citizen from that country. Question 21E, expiration date of your passport. Again, once again, please denote from month, date, and year format only. Now, question 22 talks about your last date of your arrival into the United States. It will reflect on your I-94. Can we see a sample of the I-94, please? According to this sample, the most recent date of entry is July 25th, 2017. So according to the sample, this is what is going to be. Like I said, each student will have their own I-94 with their arrival, their own unique based on when they arrived in the US. Can we go back to the 765? Now, the place of your last arrival. If you arrived in an last airport, say you traveled from China and you arrived in Los Angeles airport, that will be your port of entry. And you took a connecting flight to El Paso, your port of entry will be Los Angeles. Okay, so please indicate last arrival, place of your last arrival as Los Angeles International Airport. If you're arriving by car, then your port of entry, that will be the one, Bridge of Americas or one of those places. Question number 24, what is your current immigration status? Your current immigration status should be F-1 student. It has to be F-1 student. Please do not abbreviate to F-1 only. Question number 25 should also be indicated as F-1 student. Question number 26 talks about your CIVIS number. CIVIS number can be found on the top left side of your I-20, and it always starts, it starts on, the CIVIS number is always denoted on the top right side of your I-20. I'm sorry. Why am I missing? CIVIS ID. This is your CIVIS ID. It always starts with the alphabet N00 followed by a number. Each CIVIS ID is different, and this is just a sample. Please do not use the CIVIS ID denoted here. Can we go back? Yes. And please include the question 27N00. Question number 27, if you are applying for OPT, your code will be C3B. If you do not remember, it was there in our email. And of course, as an ISS advisor, I will also walk you through the process. If you are applying for OPT, please do not answer questions 28 all the way through 30. Please do not answer all the way through 30. Please do not answer any of these questions. Can we move on to the page number 4? And you do not need to complete. Baby, can you scroll a little bit up? Now, like I said, this application is used by asylum seekers, people who don't know English. So in this, please do not complete part 2 of the application, or in the part 3, you only need to complete 1A, where you are indicating that I can read and understand English, and I have read and understand every question and instructions on this application and my answer to every question. So please check 1A only. In question number 3, under the applicant's contact information, please write your daytime telephone number. Daytime telephone number is your landline. And if you do not have a landline, you can include question number 4, your cell phone or mobile number. You can include question 3 and 4, both your mobile number if you do not have a landline number. Question number 5 is your email address. I will recommend that you use your personal email, because upon your graduation, your email is going to be active for 1 year only. If you are in the STEM field and if you are unable to access, you will lose out the opportunity, and there is no way of changing your email. So I will recommend that you make sure that you put your personal email address, and make sure that you know the username and password. Please do not forget those. And this is the end of the application. And page 5 is not applicable to you. Some people, like I said, who are asylum seekers who don't know English, they have an interpreter who will help them to fill this out. This is not applicable to you, so please do not touch this, or do not write not applicable or NA for brief. Please do not touch this, leave it blank. Can we move on to this page number 6? Sometimes asylum seekers don't know how to read or write. So they ask us, take somebody else's help who knows English. And this is the preparer's information. So please do not touch form page 6 of this form at all. This is not applicable to you. Page 7, you can write your name, family name, given name, and middle name. If you ever had CPT or OPT, this is where you will need to complete part 3A and part 3D. If you had CPT or OPT, then please talk to ISSS advisor and we'll be able to guide you how to complete this part of page 7. Thank you. And this is the end of our OPT session. We are going to conduct another OPT session for students who are going to graduate in the summer. Thank you so much for attending the OPT session. It was a pleasure talking to you. And our OPT session is recorded and it will be posted to our website soon, while we figure out the logistics of how to do it. If you have any questions about your OPT or when to apply or anything related to it, we are available one-on-one virtual meeting appointment. Please write the subject line OPT and Aggie ID number. And to review your application, feel free to send an email to me. Always include the subject line as OPT and your Aggie ID number, and I'll be glad to look at your application. Please give me 24 hours time to review your OPT application and I'll get back to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much for joining us today. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Padma. And thank you, Kylie and Matthew, for standing by.
Thank you, Matthew. Thank you, Kylie. Thank you, Bibi, so much for helping the students walk through the process and also emailing all the documents to the students. And once again, if you haven't received an email from BB as of yesterday, 3 p.m., then we will send you an email with all of the documents soon. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
everybody.
you.
I just want to, before everybody leaves, I just want to mention and reiterate, you know, that for the time being, we are all working from home. So the best way to reach any of us is going to be through email. Now, we do have different tools available to us that plugs us into our phone lines at work and things like that. However, the best and most efficient way to reach any of us is going to be through email. So please, if you have any questions, you can email us directly or email the ISSS main email address. So again, thanks everybody for being here. We hope this was informative for you, and we look forward to answering any more questions you may have through email and in the summer session. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.